Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to DRL TV. My name's Ryan Branch, alongside Martin Wenzel, to bring you the Molnar Automotive Cup Series playoffs. Tonight we come to you from Richmond, Virginia, for 200 exciting laps of racing in the Dynasty Racing League's highest level of competition. This is race number 2 of the 10-race playoffs, and our current fastest practice time tonight, until about 10 minutes ago, belonged to Wade Hustad, who sealed himself into the next 3-race round of these playoffs with his win last week at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He sits just 2 points back of our now fastest practice lap owner, Anthony Burrows, who's the winningest driver in DRL history, and just in front of his teammate, Chad Presnall, in the 55. It's not the top few drivers that need to be pushing for position here tonight at Richmond, though. It's the drivers sitting from about the 9th spot on the standings you see here on the screen, back to the current 15th spot of Aaron James. Martin, how will tonight play a role in these playoffs moving forward for these guys, and who do you think will put a good race together and get off that bubble?
Well, Aaron James definitely needs to put together a good race after getting caught up in some trouble last week. He is on the bottom of the ladder, so to speak, in that 15th spot. Eric Wolf not running the playoffs. I'm just looking through the field right now who isn't actually racing today, or at least isn't on the track yet. Jonathan Schwartz and Eric Johnson. So those two are going to take a little bit of a tumble in the points and are going to probably end up in that bubble position pretty soon, which is good news for guys like Aaron James, Joshua Wakefield, David Wellborn right now on the outside looking in. I think two guys are going to put together decent races and pretty good races. I think John Theodore, we've been watching him all season, and Chris James can put together 2 good races and push themselves further away from that cutoff line. And the battle I'm going to be watching, Dustin Musial and David Wellborn, because those guys right 12th and 13th, right around that cutoff line. Wellborn needs to do good. And the big thing with these playoffs is that since there aren't so many non-playoff drivers out there, is that you finish 1 spot behind a guy, he's going to gain 1 point more than you. And there's not much of a gap between the finishing spots, which is good news for guys who are back in the points. But they have to hope those guys ahead of them in the points finish 2, 3, 4, 5 positions behind them. And it's a little bit harder to do when there's only so many drivers on the track.
Yeah, they won't be able to make up much ground unless they can distance themselves from some of those other drivers. So definitely David Wellborn, Dustin Musial, those 2 guys are the bubble, I guess. But everybody within just a few points, again, from 9th all the way back into the 14th position there of Joshua Wakefield. All of those guys are within about 20 points of one another. So,
good news. I see Eric Johnson and Jonathan Schwartz have come into the session, so we're going to have our full playoff field out here on the track again.
Yeah, good news for those guys. Maybe Wellborn and Musial kind of kicking themselves at the moment, wishing they didn't join in. But definitely exciting to see all these guys tune in for each race so far here in the playoffs. And I can't wait to watch tonight, Martin. How's Richmond looking out there? I've seen cars sliding all over the track, yeah?
Yeah, I think it's a similar situation to what we experienced jumping on the track for Las Vegas, where some of these guys probably raced a lot of fixed races this week and feel good about it, and then they get out here on the dynamic track and suddenly they can't. It's a lot different. Now, these guys have shown that they can adapt to that, but that is a kind of a shock if you've gotten used to driving one way and suddenly have to drive another way. Also, with the points thing, we do have 6 non-points drivers out there, so they might be able to gap some of those playoff drivers and help out guys like David Wellborn and Wakefield and Aaron James catch up to Dustin Musial and David Wright.
Yeah, I think we're going to go down to the track and try to get an interview with a couple of these guys who are there on the bubble and see how they're feeling about this evening. I'm going to grab David Wellborn if I can find him here. David Wellborn, you got a copy, sir?
Yes, sir.
Hey, it's Ryan up in the booth. We were just talking about the point standings. You currently sit just outside the cut line there. How you feeling about Richmond tonight?
I don't feel real good about it at all, man. I did about 600 laps of practice here I got up early this morning and did that, and just don't feel comfortable in the car.
Yeah, it's looking pretty slick out there so far from what I can see.
Yeah, I think the track temperature is a little bit warmer than what I expected, but I'm just going to ride. You know, we got a couple drivers in here that's not in the points championship. They're going to be battling it out hard. It's a short track. Anything can happen. So I'm just going to ride and wait for Charlotte and Daytona.
Yes, sir. Best of luck. Hopefully you can make it to Daytona. Put together a good race tonight, man.
As long as I finish, I'll be happy.
Yes, sir. Have a good night, David.
You too.
So he's not looking too thrilled for this evening, Martin.
Yeah, sometimes that is the best attitude to have, though, is just ride and get around the track and stay in one piece. Because again, as we see in these races, now again there aren't as many drivers as a regular season race, but if you're able to keep your car on the track and in decent condition, you can gain some positions when guys get knocked out and can't come back out on the track. You're going to gain 2 or 3 positions that way. And, you know, that's kind of what happened to me last week at the trucks, is that I kind of just messed up the race early and couldn't really get back into it. And if I had just been able to just ride around, might have finished better.
Yeah, just gain as many spots as possible and hope that maybe 1 or 2 of the wrecks that happens around you collects some of those guys higher up in the point standings than you. That is definitely a good way to approach it and get yourself into the next round. And we talked about it last week. It's anybody's game when it comes to a restrictor plate track like Daytona, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, for a guy in David Wellborn's situation, you know, Wakefield and James all out on the outside, especially Wellborn and Wakefield, they're only 2-3 points behind Dustin Musial. So as long as they can stay around him and stay ahead of him, they're in good shape this race. Now, of course, if you can finish 2, 3, 4, 5 positions ahead of him and gain a good foothold into that cut line, all the better.
Well, we definitely know they want to try to stay ahead of David Wright, who holds a win already at a restrictor plate track here this year. Prefer to not see him in the next round. Try to get him to swap positions with him. That'll definitely be a goal for this evening.
Yeah, so it's going to be a dogfight between those 5 guys. I think from 11th to 15th, they're all within 11 points of each other. Aaron James is the one that has to make up some spots. He's the one that's in a tough position. I think Wakefield and Wellborn are on the outside looking in, but they have, you know, they're a little bit closer to swapping positions with guys like Musial and Wright.
Yeah, they're definitely feeling a little better than James is back there. He is, what, 8 points off the cutoff line, so...
Yeah, 8 or 9, and... Yeah, I mean, he's 6 points behind Joshua Wakefield for that 14th spot. That's just 1 spot difference there, and he's already 6 points back there. And that's probably it looks like the biggest gap between any 2 drivers in the playoff field, besides between Wade Hustad and Chad Presnall, between that 2nd place spot and that 3rd place spot. And obviously most of that is from the bonus points Wade Hustad and Burrows racked up during the regular season with those wins.
So we got Hunter Johnson already with 1 lap complete here in the number 98. Currently holds the pole position, but only 2 drivers have posted a lap thus far. John Theodore just behind him.
Yeah, during practice, John Theodore put down a faster time than Hunter Johnson, but then during the qualifying, swapped those positions. And Hunter Johnson kind of slides through on that 2nd one, and look at Caden Honeycutt.
Yeah, Honeycutt there in the number 37 with an amazing time, a 20.624, so much, much faster than Hunter Johnson or John Theodore, who's now slid back to 4th.
And that's the fastest time anyone's laid down on the track besides Burrows. Burrows had a 6:19 during practice.
Yeah, so very close. Going to be difficult for Anthony Burrows to emulate there. Joseph Helt just posted a nice time, but he gets leapfrogged by Mike Springer in the number 12. Yeah, so Springer's showing he's got what it takes to run in the top 5 week in and week out. Hopefully, he can put another good race together here tonight. Confirm his spot. This is gonna be an
interesting one. This is gonna be an interesting one tonight because I don't think last week we had Caden Honeycutt or Joseph Helt running out there.
Yeah, both of those drivers, very quick drivers, didn't make it into the points or into the playoffs just based off of the amount of time that they spent here in the Cup Series this year. So,
yep.
But both very fast drivers, and will be giving some of these points drivers a run for their money. Anthony Burrows comes across with a 20.676, so he does post the second best time under qualifying so far. We have Chad Presnall out on the track now. We'll see what he is able to do. Presnall looked really good last week for the first half of the race. It just wasn't able to put together the win, but he did come away with that third place finish and sits just behind Hustad in the point standings.
Watch Jonathan Schwartz. He's sliding through his warm-up lap. Just feeling a little bit more loose than he's probably used to.
Yeah, Schwartz, one of the last guys to enter the track this evening, doesn't have a lot of practice here in these conditions so far tonight, so we'll see if he's able to iron that out as this race gets underway.
Yeah, it looks like David Wellborn and David Wright are going to settle to start in the rear of the field.
Yeah, Wellborn and Wright both sitting at the start-finish line there, making a nice long qualifying time for themselves, so they start in the back and just ride, as David Wellborn said.
Yeah, so I'm looking top 10 right now. In the top 10, you got Caden Honeycutt, Josh Mayu, Joseph Helt, Matthew George, all non-playoff drivers. Of course, all points drivers. Just
Josh
Cup
Mayu,
guys
fairly new guy to the league, isn't he? He hasn't participated much.
Yeah, he's only, this is probably, I want to say his 5th race. I'll go check on that. Sometimes some of these guys get like 10 races under their belt without us even noticing.
So David Wellborn, David Wright, Sam Niederhelm all posting very slow qualifying times to get that rear starting position in the back of the field there. But Caden Honeycutt, throughout the season, Martin, we saw him start towards the back of the field and work his way to the front, race in and race out. Tonight he's starting on the pole. Let's go down and grab him for an interview. Caden Honeycutt, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, this is Ryan up in the booth, man. We talked to you a couple times this season about you starting in the back of the field and working to the front, and you're sitting on the pole tonight. How do you feel about Richmond?
I feel good. I got very confidence a lot. I kind of know where the setup's going to be heading as long for what the green flag grunts are going to be. Kind of already know what it's going to feel like and what's going to take to hold these guys off. Just save the best tires and save the right rear and not be too aggressive too early. You know, you get 200 laps. Not many drivers, so this potentially could go green for a very long time. So we're just going to be patient, work our way to 200 laps, and hopefully we're sitting in first and make an upset.
Well, you sound like you got plenty of practice here this week. Best of luck out there tonight, man.
Thank you.
That was Caden Honeycutt, our pole sitter for this evening, as we get ready to roll through the starting grid here. So we're going to have Caden Honeycutt on the pole. Just behind him, Anthony Burrows currently sits second. Wade Hustad's going to start in third in the 32. Mike Springer in fourth. Josh Mayu in the 5th position and Joseph Helton 6th. We've got Chad Presnall in the 55, sits 7th. Matthew George sits 8th. Thomas Harmon in the 68 occupies the 9th position. Hunter Johnson sits 10th. Eric Johnson in the 11th position with Dustin Musial in 12th. We've got Jonathan Schwartz in 13th, followed by Chris James in the 14th spot. John Theodore occupies the 15th position and Aaron James 16th. Jim Westerfield 17th, Joshua Wakefield in 18th. Sam Niederhelm in the 19th position. I thought we had one more driver out there.
What position are you in?
I got the 19th there.
Yeah, Wellborn and Wright on the last row.
Yeah, David Wellborn and David Wright occupying that last row. I don't. It keeps doing that for me. When I do the starting grid every week, so I have to get that ironed out and figure out what's going on with that. But base car is rolling here. We're gonna head around for a quick up to speed lap and get this thing going green, Martin.
Yeah, Caden Honeycutt running John Theodore's old Ford scheme. John Theodore now running the Camaro. And obviously Theodore running in the playoffs, so he's got the playoff paints, so that's how you'll be able to tell those two guys apart, along with the number.
Yeah, Theodore there with the red stripe all along the bottom of the car, just like all the playoff drivers here tonight.
Yeah, Honeycutt likes to drive other guys' paints in this league, it seems. I've seen him run Alec Martinez's a few times. And makes it a little difficult sometimes to tell who it is.
He's trying to disguise himself out there, Martin.
Yeah.
So people don't know who he is when he's coming up from behind.
Yep. They're like, oh, it's John Theodore today. Theodore's good, but Honeycutt is pretty fast.
Yeah, he's real fast. Definitely looks like he's going to be able to give Burrows a run for his money. And he said during that interview that he knows how these things run on older tires. So clearly he's gotten a lot of practice here. We'll see if he's able to put a whole race together.
Yeah, if this race goes anything like last night with the Grand National race, that one went, I think, about 100, 111, 112 laps before that first yellow came out, and I think that was the only yellow out of the 150. So tonight, 200 laps, 50 more laps than last night. Let's see if these guys can go green most of the way.
And they take the green flag.
Josh Mayu. Presnell getting into the rear end of Mayu on that start. And he's still on his bumper, and there's the caution, so not going to be as clean as the Grand National race. Single car spin.
Who was that?
I'm not sure. I don't see anyone spun out, so I'm going to have to go back. Probably, I'm going to guess. I don't know. I'm going to guess Sam Niederhelm, but let's see.
I didn't even see it, Martin. I don't know if it was him or not. Might have been the 58 there of Jonathan Schwartz.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. Yeah, it's going to be 58. He's the one.
So yep, some guys coming down to pit already. Josh Mayu in the 61 is on pit road. David Wellborn down pit road, and David Wright. Both of those guys, Fine was sitting in the back of this thing, already going to come down and grab some tires. But Jonathan Schwartz here in the 58, right off the start.
Yeah, he's probably going to need tires too, because he's kind of...
Yeah, he comes into turn one, gets in the brake a little too hard. The car weaves left and right, and he almost puts it to the inside wall, able to gather it up down there on the apron. And wow.
I'm surprised he's not going in the pits to get some fresh tires, just because you kind of burn off a little bit there when you go side. Yeah, there he goes. Okay. I was going to say, if he stays out, that's kind of... doesn't make much sense. I mean, you're already back in 16th.
Yeah, you might as well come down and freshen those tires up.
Yeah, because you now... yeah, we were on lap 3, so you didn't really use too much, but you've used more than everyone else. That wasn't a huge spin out or anything either. That could have easily gone yellow, but the iRacing threw out the yellow flag.
I mean, it could have gone green.
Yeah, I think it could have stayed green.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for the yellow to come out there. He didn't touch anyone. He didn't head backwards on the track. He didn't have a problem getting the car flipped around, so... but the game did throw out the yellow flag there, so these guys will pace a couple laps before we go back green flag racing.
Well, he didn't hit the wall. He didn't even get backwards or anything where he had to turn around. He just kind of had to correct it, and he kind of went down on the apron. And I think if this was an NIS race or a full field of 40 cars, that definitely might have been a situation where a caution would have been prudent. But
well, Martin, I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you take us to the green flag here. I'm going to step away for just a second. As I expect him to get the jump on this restart, I will have the camera focused on the 32 of Wade Hustad, because Caden should be able to pull away at the very beginning here.
All right, so let's start this over again. Try one more time. Hopefully everyone's gotten the jitters out. Getting a feel for the track. I have to wonder if that has to do with Jonathan Schwartz coming into the session late, not really getting a lot of practice on these racetrack conditions and how many races he did this week, or how much practice he did this week on dynamic tracks. I'm sure a lot of these top guys do a lot of practice on dynamic tracks, knowing the settings that we run these races in. Some guys don't. Some guys run fixed all week and then are surprised that the track is completely different than what they run all week. That happened to both of us. As the pace car takes off, and there goes Caden right away. A little bit tight on the restart. Anthony Burrows gets by Wade Hustad easily. Hustad's going to slip into third right in front of Joseph Helt. Chad Presnell moves into sixth over Thomas Harmon. Hustad closes to the rear bumper of Anthony Burrows in that turn 2, but then loses a little bit of speed coming off the corner.
Yeah, the 32 at Wade Hustad seems to be catching him coming out of each corner.
Well, I think going in he catches him and then he kind of loses him going out.
Yeah, right.
Burrows
The
gets a little
apex is when
separation.
he gets the closest. But I mean, I know these guys have this track figured out already at this point. They've put in a lot of practice laps here tonight. This usual close racing from the 62 and the 32 there. As the 37 of Caden Honeycutt able to maintain that gap out in front, I think Burrows might be closing it by just a bit. Honeycutt actually posting the best time on the track last time by, so that clean air helping him out. I don't expect to see Hustad trying to make a pass on the 62 at any time in the near future. Back to fourth place, we have the 02 of Joseph Helt, a non-points driver here in the league. So our 2 points leaders sit second and third rather than first and second right now, Mark.
Yep. Going all the way back to Jonathan Schwartz. He's in 16th. He went into the pits in 16th after that spin out. And it's a good idea to get those new tires. Whenever you spin out, you burn a little bit more rubber.
I don't know if my paints just aren't updated this week or what, but the 58 there running a different scheme, the all grayed out scheme on the 58 car tonight.
Yeah, he's running a gray. He's running that alternate one. He hasn't run it at all this season. I know he sent them to me early on in the season to get the banners and everything. You know, still running Cortland, Hearth, and Hardware. I believe that's his employer.
66 there of Aaron James already having some trouble up to the high line through that last corner. Maybe didn't apply the brakes hard enough. Aaron James definitely need to make up some positions tonight, as he currently is the furthest outside of the next round right now as far as points are concerned. So,
well, he is currently 14th, so he's 6 positions over the last place car, but definitely needs to. Who's he competing with? Close my stand.
losing.
Yeah, he needs the. Got me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, he's got to get some good good positions over Wakefield and Wellborn, and also catch up with Musel.
Well, right now, David Wellborn having some trouble. Lost the car just a little bit. The rear end went around a couple laps back, and he is being caught by our leader right now, Caden Honeycutt in the 37. So David just needs to stay calm, not let the nerves get to him, and worry about these guys coming around him. Just keep driving the car, keep it going straight. Make up his positions later in the race, as we're only 17 laps in out of 200 here tonight. I could see this potentially causing issues for our leader here, Martin, as this is not a big track. It's not an easy one to pass on.
No, it isn't. Not if the guy doesn't want to let you pass either.
Yeah,
or he doesn't really just get completely out of the way. Which
you know how
Wellborn's going to do right there. He's going to kind of get out of the way.
Conserve his position. But, yeah, he pulls up high and gives these guys a little respect, lets them by.
I haven't seen it yet, but this is definitely coming out of those turns, especially turn 2. guys get loose on that outside and come darting across the track. That's usually what causes a lot of trouble. So far, none of that through 18 laps, 19 laps.
Mike Springer in the number 12 here.
Whoa! Got close there, Springer. Just a little bit of a door slam or a love tap from... I want to say he kind of gave that to Wellborn more than anything. Wellborn kind of was hanging his line, and Springer just kept coming up.
You can see the 96 definitely feels okay in the car. I mean, able to stick up here with some of these guys running in 5th and 6th and 7th, running the same line they're running, doing just fine. He just made a small mental error, was the back of the field when it happened, so luckily there was no damage or anything to his car. But it did allow these leaders to come around and catch him. We're only on a 3/4 mile track here tonight.
Well, the leaders are now, the gap between the leaders, 1, 2, 3, about the same gap between Honeycutt and Burrows as between Burrows and Hustad. And then right behind them, Presnall and Helt breathing down Hustad's neck.
Yeah, Presnall up to the back of the 32, and all of these leaders have caught up to the 37 there of Caden Honeycutt. So that early lead that he had is now diminished as Hustad puts the bumper to the rear of the 62.
Yeah, the gap has closed between the leader and the rest of those top 5, and the gap between 3rd and 2nd is getting a little bit closer. Hustad getting right back up onto the bumper of Burrows again. Yeah, he gets into the bumper going in, and then coming out, he loses a little bit of speed, and then Presnall catches up to his bumper coming out of the corner.
Go back and look at the other gentleman who joined late in this session, the practice session tonight, the 21 of Eric Johnson, doing okay, currently sits in the 12th position. So he's one of those guys who's just above that cutoff line. Definitely needs to place well here tonight.
Well, Dustin Musial, who's right on the other side, he's in 12th, so he's in right now. He's running a good race, 8th place, running between Thomas Harmon and Hunter Johnson.
He seems pretty comfortable in the vehicle tonight. Same with Thomas Harmon here in the 68.
David Wright starting at the rear of the field. He's up to 14th. Trying to maintain his position in the standings. Basically everyone, all those guys in the top 12 are up ahead of those bottom 3 guys, Wellborn, Wakefield, and James. So those 3 guys down there still have some work to do.
Yeah, David Wright, for posting that slow qualifying time, wanting to start in the rear of the field, definitely has made some moves already here this evening. Looks to be feeling pretty good there in the 44.
Well, this is a track. Short tracks are tracks where starting in the rear of the field sometimes is the best thing to do if you're not feeling 100% comfortable, because you get into that first corner and people are going to be rear-ending you if you're not sure how much brake to apply.
Yeah, they figure it out, though, as the race goes on. And
yep. Then you start taking off.
hope we have some more green flag pit stops here tonight, Martin. It's I think the last race was won and lost on pit road for sure. Presnall wasn't too happy about it.
Well, as I said, last night, 1 yellow flag, and that was around 100, lap 110, 100, around there at that point. Chris James falling back, Jim Westerfield and Aaron James passing him. And that's good for Aaron James. Aaron James trying to make up those positions. And Chris James is one of those guys ahead of him.
So things slowing down a little bit here. We're about 1 second off of their fast lap right now. So tires taking a toll on these cars. Not as much as you would expect, though, Martin. I know last week, 10, 15 laps in, we were having guys, already a second off of the pace. And these guys, it's taken them about, 25 laps to do it. definitely a little more leeway on the equipment here this evening. Things don't wear out as quick as they did last week, but totally different setup on the cars as well. They're not heading into the corners at massive speeds here at Richmond like they were last week at Las Vegas.
Now, while the tires won't wear out as fast, that tire wear does contribute a little bit more to getting loose coming out of the corners, though. Vegas being a little bit easier of a track.
Yeah, the gear ratios are definitely tuned a little higher in the low end, in the lower gears here. So these guys had a ton of acceleration coming out of these corners. That's where a lot of your time is made. So you put all that acceleration, yeah, you put that pedal down to the floorboard a little too quickly, and the rear end of that car's going around.
Yeah, you want to have that coming out of that, especially turn 2. Turn 2 is the big one. Coming out of that, you need to make sure that wheel is almost straight before you really gun it. Otherwise, you're just going to keep turning left and go sliding into the
Honeycutt
inside
feeling
wall
the
and have
pressure
heavy
here.
damage.
The 62 of Anthony Burrows moving to the outside, trying to make a different line work, but Hustad's going to take that opportunity to try to sneak up underneath. I don't think Honeycutt's given up this position easily, Martin, and he definitely seems to be slower than the other two drivers. If he gives it up and gives Burrows that clean air, you might start to see him pull away.
Yeah, he's definitely making a move on the outside, and that's letting Hustad catch up, but Hustad loses a lot of speed coming out of the turn. You can see he almost gets side by side with Burrows, but then coming out, Burrows pulls away. Now Burrows is going to go to the inside.
Yeah, he knows that's where Honeycutt wants to be. He's going to try to take that away from him, and he does get down there. Question is, can he maintain speed on the way off? And he does, and he'll have the low line going into another corner. See if Hustad's able to ride the train and follow right behind the 62, or if the 37 can drop down in front of him after Burrows makes the pass.
Yeah, Honeycutt left that door open, and as soon as you do that, now Burrows is down there. He's locked in.
Honeycutt's still sticking it on the outside, though,
Yeah.
keeping pace with the 62 of Burrows. And this is all good news for the 32 here, Wade Hustad. He can just cruise a little bit, let these guys battle it out, do the extra work to the tires, and then come up and try to take a position after they're done.
That was really close there. Almost got it. Burrows and Honeycutt almost made contact.
And the 37 holds him off. Burrows unable to make the pass after being underneath the 37 for so long.
Yep. Yeah, so now 37's back in the driver's seat, as long as he can get down there and block that low line. You can just see the gap closes so much between Hustad and Burrows, but then coming off, Burrows gets a nice run. But that gap has really opened up now between Honeycutt and Burrows.
Yeah, Burrows, like I said, maybe doing a little too much work to the tires there, trying to get around the 37. Honeycutt seems to be running away with it again.
Jonathan Schwartz all the way back up into a 10th place now. After that single car spin to bring out the first yellow on lap, I believe it was lap 1.
Yeah, he came down pit road, freshened up those tires, and he's worked his way from the rear of the field back up to 10th. So 58 definitely feeling a little more comfortable in the car now. Again, he was the last driver to enter the practice session. So
yeah, he's got 3 lap fresher tires than everyone. So, well, then most of the guys up front. And he's working around Hunter Johnson. He's got that low line, which we see is the line to be in.
Now you have Wade Hustad in the 32, just gets to the inside of the 62 of Burrows, unable to make the pass. So now Hustad trying to do the same thing that Burrows tried to do to Honeycutt.
Yeah, and he's going to be able to get there, and that's... Burrows has to close that door. He can't leave it open like he just did there, because Hustad has a ton of speed going into the corner, and if you're not there, he's going to stick his nose in.
Yeah, he closed the door on the way around that one.
Yep, so. That one he did, and you can see Hustad had to back off. Yeah, there again, Hustad has to back off. If you open that gap, Hustad's going to fill it, because he's got the speed going in. He doesn't have the speed coming out. These guys are right on top of each other. And that time, Hustad kind of stuck with them coming out of the corner.
We're going to go down to the cockpit of Wade Hustad and see what this looks like from the car. All over one another's bumpers. You can see up in the distance, they are approaching lap traffic. So,
and there's caution.
Bet the 37 of Honeycutt's sweating a little bit up there. Trying to see who's moving back here, who that caution might have been caused by. These guys wait on the pace car to come around.
Aaron James, that's more tough luck for him, and he looks like he caught the inside wall as well.
Yeah, we see the 66 starts to go sideways as he hits the brakes and unable to straighten the thing out. Continues to slow it down and crunches the front end to the inside wall there.
Yeah, he's going to have a little bit of... That's going to hurt the engine a little bit. I think he'll be able to continue going. It won't... I don't think he'll lose the engine running the rest of this race, but...
That definitely hurts his opportunity in these playoffs right now, as he currently sits in the last spot in this first segment. Only in front of Eric Wolf, who's not participating, so tough luck there for Aaron James.
He's now a lap down. Yeah, now he's a lap down with David Wellborn. I think Wellborn will get the lucky dog as well. Yep.
On the race off pit road there, let's go back and look at that one more time. You see here the 37 of Caden Honeycutt, I think, comes off first. Very good pit stop by the 32 of Wade Hustad, and he's able to beat the 62 of Burrows to the line. So Hustad's going to take a spot there on pit road. We talked earlier about how important the pit road can be here.
Absolutely destroyed that cone.
Yeah, he definitely took it out. So Caden Honeycutt with a breath of fresh air after those guys were catching up to him hard. He now has fresh tires, and we saw what he did earlier on the fresh tires, Mark. But Hustad now with only one car to contend with instead of two. See how he's able to get off on this restart here. Sometimes you see that guy in the third position actually get a better restart than second, because second is kind of watching out the side view, you know, to see the 37 take off, and all the 62 has to watch for is a change in, you know, speed. As soon as he sees the acceleration, he nails it. And he will have that inside line on the 32, so going into the first corner, if Hustad doesn't put a great corner together, you know, he's on fresh tires, he was just used to driving on the older tires. Could see the 62 of Burrows sneak right back in front of him. Thank you all of our viewers for tuning in this evening. This is race number 2 of the Molnar Automotive Cup Series playoffs. We appreciate all of you for tuning in. And next week, me and Martin will be right back here for some exciting action in Charlotte. That'll be the third and final race in this first segment of the playoffs here. So four cars will be eliminated at the end of that, one of which will be Eric Wolf. And by the looks of it already here tonight, Aaron James will be the second car eliminated. See if he's able to get back out there and turn some more laps and maybe make up a few spots. And like I said, the 37 there of Honeycutt gets away quick, but the 62 of Burrows is not going to hand that position over to Wade Hustad, so...
Yeah, Mike Springer, though, making a nice move on the inside.
Might actually get taken by Springer here as well if he's able to get to the inside of him. the thing, those tires just changed so drastically after coming off pit road. And that outside line, you don't really know what you can give it and what you can. So that inside line definitely preferred on the restart. And Springer takes the spot.
Yeah, but now Hustad's got that low line and is probably just going to take it right back.
Yeah, Hustad says, give me that position back, as 12 of Springer gets a little loose coming out of the corner there. Almost comes down with the 32.
Got some really tight racing off that restart. Now it's spreading out single file now.
Joseph Helt looking to the inside of Martin. Jonathan Schwartz, who we saw start in the rear of the field, he's all the way up to 7th now.
Joseph Helt really loose coming out of that turn. Wiggled quite a bit. And now he's going to have a fight on his hands with Jonathan Schwartz and Thomas Harmon looking on his inside. And right behind them, Dustin Musial.
Oh, and him and Schwartz get into one
between
another,
them, yep.
and that's going to send Helt almost into the outside wall. Musial avoids it. Bad News Bears there for the 0-2, but able to keep it out of that wall somehow. I don't know how he did it, Martin.
Yeah, these cars, you can see them wiggling, that back end wiggling as they come out of that turn too. Dustin Musial had a little bit of a wiggle.
You saw how hard he braked. I'm very surprised he didn't lock him up there and slide right into that wall. That was awesome driving there by the 0-2.
Yeah, it was. He was all over wiggling.
Able to give it just enough brakes so the car didn't slide on him. And he could still bring it to enough of a stop to avoid the wall.
Yeah, right now Dustin Musial putting himself in a great position, points-wise, to really get away from that cutoff line.
Looks like David Wellborn was the lucky dog last time around. He currently runs in the 16th position. So after that very early race mental mistake by the 96, he's doing all right out there.
Yeah, it looks like Aaron James still in the pits, and
oh, and the 62 of Anthony Burrows gets to the inside of Caden Honeycutt yet again. So Burrows is now around. Oh yeah, he got around Hustad early on that restart, but
oh yeah, they've been 1-2 the whole way, and he's gonna.
It's looking like
got
he
an
might be
edge
able
here.
to make it happen this time, Martin. Question is, once he has it, will he be able to take off with it? I don't know if the 37 is going to give it up or not, though.
Oh, and Chris James having connection issues. So that's another. Both the Jameses having issues this race.
Caden Honeycutt really didn't want to give that spot up. Finally, the 62 of Anthony Burrows makes the pass on the 37. See now if Burrows is able to gap these guys a little bit. You know, we've seen that a lot from Anthony Burrows already this season, Martin. He doesn't always qualify the best. But once he gets out in that lead under racing conditions, he keeps it. Oh, and Caden Honeycutt down onto the apron there.
Yeah.
That's going to make the car a little loose, and the 32 of Hustad's going to capitalize.
Oh, you see Hustad getting a little wiggly going, you know, as he starts braking.
These guys are applying a lot of brake to these cars every corner. So Caden, again, not going to give up the position easily. Hustad's going to have to take it away. See down the straightaway there, Hustad still not getting the best exit off of these corners. He's been plagued by that all night.
And it's even harder on that inside line if you're having trouble getting off the corners because you can't get in front of that other car.
Yeah, I think Hustad's been...
Well, you can see him there. He's trying to get up there.
Yeah, he's been using that inside line all night, though. I think that's just where he feels comfortable.
Yeah, but I think he would like to get up close to that wall coming out of the corner at least, because then you'd be able to hold more speed. And now he gets...
Finally takes the position away.
Yeah.
And he had Burrows real
Honeycutt,
close
he's
to
able
him
to get up
there as well.
Mm-hmm.
as he's right back to the rear bumper going into Anthony Burrows. So Hustad's definitely got the braking heading into these corners figured out.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of closing the gap as he goes in. Still working on getting out. But if he doesn't have someone on the outside, it's a little bit easier as well because you can get up to that, use the whole track.
Mike Springer, after the great restart he had earlier, he's all the way back to 12th now, so being passed by John Theodore and Thomas Harmon. Jonathan Schwartz, who we still start in the rear of the field, he started in the 13th spot. He now runs 5th. I guess he didn't start in the back. He just had that early mishap and found himself in the rear. He after coming in and getting those fresh tires, though, he's definitely made up some ground. So they are gapped quite a bit, though. These 4 leaders have taken off with the race. Chad Presnall started 7th. He runs 4th right now. Caden Honeycutt, who's your pole sitter, in the 3rd position. And you got Wade Hustad and Anthony Burrows up front. As we're going to take this up.
Presnall. Yeah, Chad Presnall and Jonathan Schwartz, they're trying to close that. You know, there's a big gap between everyone else and Burrows and Hustad points-wise in the playoffs. So
they definitely want to close that up. Yeah, Presnall feeling okay, though. He sits comfortably in 3rd right now, and Martin 3rd is good enough. All you got to be is top 4 heading into Homestead, and we'll see the slate completely cleared, and these guys will just have a shootout with that last race of the season. So the 32
That's true.
of
I
Wade
did forget about
Hustad
that. Yep.
to the inside of Anthony Burrows almost gets the pass.
Yeah, and that lap before there, Honeycutt coming out of the turn had a big wiggle.
Yeah,
so they're fighting those cars coming out of the turn, trying to just keep it under them. Hustad right up on the bumper, but I'm not sure if he had to let off there and then he loses the momentum, or again, if that's just him not being able to get off the corner as well as Burrows.
So once again, as we're about 25 laps into this run, we see these guys almost a second off of their faster laps. So tires starting to take effect yet again here tonight. And this is where we had a caution the last time, Martin. I think it was lap 34 or so on the tires with the guys. What's it? It was, yeah, Aaron James went into that inside wall, so.
Yeah, Aaron and Chris James both struggling today. Aaron James still in the pits, so Chris James will get back a position after having some issues of his own. Chris James above the cut line right now, but with David Wellborn, Joshua Wakefield ahead of him, he might be in danger. Hustad right up to the bumper, Burrows.
Yeah,
Burrows is able to...
A little bit of a gap between Caden Honeycutt and Chad Presnall.
Yeah, Burrows is... And that time, Burrows, that no gap, like the gap is not really widening as much as it was before. Hustad's staying with him. And now he's got a nose under Burrows there.
The question is, can he keep the nose under there down the straightaway? He's had a tough time with that, but pulls up side by side of the 62 going through turn 4. And here's the corner where we see that wiggle coming off. Can Hustad maintain speed? Slowly but surely, looks like he might be taking the position away from the 62 here. But again, Anthony Burrows getting that run off the corner. Has a little more straightaway speed instead.
Well, and again, he doesn't have to worry about hitting someone on that wall. You can see Burrows wiggling there.
No, but what he does have to worry about, Martin, is catching up back here to the rear end of Aaron James, which is going to happen real quick.
And there's Wade Hustad, moves into position, but Burrows right on his bumper.
He's definitely not going to let up anytime soon.
Burrow's running slightly, like about a half a lane higher. Well, now he's down to the yellow line, but he was kind of running on the dashed white line those last a couple laps. Obviously with Wade Houston underneath him, but even that last one, he went in and stayed a little bit higher.
Well, now, I mean, 37 had his shot, the 62 had his shot. We'll see what the 32 can do with some clean air out here. See if he can put a
32, the
gap
gap's getting a little wider. And we've seen this out of Wade Houston quite a bit. Him in the lead. He takes off. He checks out.
I don't know if he's going to get the chance to check out all night here tonight, Martin, like he's done in past weeks, because I expect at least another caution or two here this evening, as these things are not easy to drive around this track once you get 40, 50 laps in the tires.
As they easily work past Sam Niederhelm.
Yeah, everyone's currently about 35 laps into this stint of green flag racing here, so. You know what we have on a fuel run here tonight, Martin? Or do you think they'll be coming in for tires sooner than that?
Yeah, I think tires. Yeah, I think the tires are what's going to come in. I think fuel run is really. You could probably go 100 laps on fuel. I think it's pretty. Fuel's not really an issue. As long as you'll probably have to get fuel on this stop for tires, but then after that you probably won't even need to get fuel. Just get fresh tires.
Well, Burrows has closed that gap back on the 32 of Hustad, so those two still running 1-2 and haven't really gotten away from one another all night. Been right next to each other. It's the first lap. Yeah, Caden Honeycutt in third, Chad Presnall in fourth, Jonathan Schwartz up to the fifth spot, Thomas Harmon runs sixth, John Theodore in the seventh position there in the number 89. Eighth position is Mike Springer. Joseph Helt runs ninth, and Hunter Johnson back in 10th.
Joseph Helt passes Mike Springer easily, moves into eighth.
Back up front as these leaders come around.
Aaron
66
James.
of Aaron James. James just taking the high line, letting everybody around. Doesn't want to get in any accidents or ruin anyone's shot at a championship here. James currently 20 laps down after that trouble early. Had to get quite a few repairs. Back to David Wellborn Jr., who still sits in 16th, so Wellborn doing okay. Still on the lead lap. Josh Mayu, who had a really good start tonight, he currently runs in the 15th position, so. Be having some issues out there as he comes around the 30 of Matthew George. Eric Johnson, that other guy to join late in the practice session, he runs in the 13th spot right now. There in the number 21, and David Wright doing well for himself. Currently runs in 12th.
Yeah, David Wright and Dustin Musial, the two guys on the bottom, right above the cut line, running pretty good, 11th, 12th.
Yeah,
and
wouldn't you know, that's right where they're where they're at in the point standings as well, 11th and 12th. Obviously, they're flip-flopped in this situation, but and if you keep running in that position. And right now, all they have to do is worry about keeping
Wellborn and Wakefield.
Wellborn and Wakefield behind them. Aaron James has kind of already ruined his shot now.
And they're going to gain a little bit of position on Chris James as well. They'll probably pass him because Chris James is in 21st, so that's about 10 points right there. So they'll pass Chris James as well.
Yeah, so right now, the big narrative, Chris James needs to worry how far up can Wellborn and Wakefield stay, or how far up can they move. Chris James 20 laps down, obviously has very little chance of making up any spots tonight unless it's to Aaron James, which isn't even really in the race now. So, I don't know. It's going to be close point-wise after this one, Martin. That cutoff line's still going to be 1 or 2 points away. Everything's going to come down to Charlotte for this first cutoff.
Yeah, Wellborn and Wakefield, as long as they can stay, I mean, they got about 5 positions, so that's about 5 points on Chris James. That's going to get him close.
Yeah, he might just get kicked down to the bottom side of that line.
Yeah, if David Wellborn can gain a couple more positions, definitely put himself into the next round after 2 races.
Yeah, exactly. After 2 races, you don't want to get too
Charlotte.
Yeah, they still got another race here to run.
Still another race. But Aaron James has a really deep hole, and he's gonna. I think he's probably gonna be on the outside looking in, unless he has an amazing race at Charlotte.
There's still a lot of racing left here tonight, Martin. We could always have any of these guys up in front of them wreck out, be out of this thing for the night. Chris James and Aaron James both posting laps right now. They are in the car. They are out there turning laps, and there's still 103 to go here. So they could make up quite a few spots if somebody knocks himself out of this race anytime soon.
Yep.
Now see Anthony Burrows got back around the 32 there of Wade Hustad, and they are approaching lap traffic. The 35 of Joshua Wakefield is about to go 1 lap down. Just in front of them, you have the 4 of Jim Westerfield. This is going to put him 3 laps down, if and when they get around. And the 96 of David Wellborn will be a lap down again. So David Wellborn currently the last car on the lead lap. Being caught there by our leaders. See Anthony Burrows tucks right up to the bumper there. The 96 has a much better exit off the corner. 96 barely able to stay out of the wall, and Burrows makes a nice clean pass.
Oh, and Honeycutt slicing between Wakefield and Westerfield through turn 2 there. And he's now going to come to the inside. He's going to pass David Wellborn.
Yeah, Wellborn just giving up the spot. Again, he told us before the race started, he's just out there riding. So trying to collect as many points as possible and solidify himself into the next round of these playoffs. And it's looking okay for him at the moment. With Aaron James and Chris James' early mistakes.
Yeah, if he can finish, it looks like, I mean, 6 points back of Chris James. If he can finish 6 positions ahead of Chris James, he'll at least tie him for points.
Well, we're now about 55 laps on the tires here at Richmond. I'm going to take this opportunity to take a quick commercial break. Thank you to all our viewers for tuning in, and we'll be back hopefully with some green flag pit stops here in just a moment. And we are back here at Richmond with the Molnar Automotive Cup Series, lap 111 of 200.
Burrows with a wide gap over Wade Hustad now, almost 9/10 of a second. Honeycutt another 2.5 seconds behind Burrows. So the gap definitely widening between these cars. About 3 seconds actually between Honeycutt and Presnall. Then another 4 between Presnall and Schwartz. And then the field's kind of tight between Schwartz, Harmon, Helt, and on back. With Musel in 11th place, the last car on the lead lap. Joshua Wakefield, David Wellborn, and Sam Niederhelm down a lap as Wakefield goes into the pits.
Yeah, Wakefield, the fifth driver, I think, down on pit road. So Eric Johnson, Joss Mayu, Matthew George, and David Wright all coming down for fresh tires.
Oh, David Wright, 3 laps down. I don't know what happened to him. Some of these guys.
Really, David Wright was the first one to come down pit road. So Chad Presnall was running in 4th. He's down pit road. So it looks like the green flag pits are starting here, Martin. We have almost half the field has now come down to get tires, so. 35 of Wakefield making his way off pit road.
It's looking like you're going to go down 2 laps if you're under these green flag stops until the leader comes in. A lot of these guys coming in are dropping 2 laps down before they get going again.
We can really use Chad Presnall as a benchmark. He was the closest to Anthony Burrows when he made his pit stop. He makes his way back out on the track just ahead of Anthony Burrows, so only 1 lap down. But as they run, he currently sits behind David Wellborn in the 11th spot. So it looks like these guys looking to only make 1 more pit stop here tonight after coming down 60 to 65 laps on their tires so far. Anthony Burrows running out there with 69 laps on his tires at this point.
And that gap just keeps getting wider between him and Hustad now.
Yeah, things definitely changing on these cars as time goes by. Tires taking their toll on how easily they can get these things around the track. The 44 there, David Wright, really wants to get around these guys. Only 11 laps on his tires as he heads or follows Eric Johnson in the 21. Eric Johnson with only 7 laps on his tires, so that just goes to show, I mean, the ability of the 62, Martin. These guys with 60 lap fresher tires having a difficult time getting around the 62 of Burrows. That tire fall off definitely not as great as it was last week at Las Vegas. Leader currently only about a second and a half off of his fastest time right now. So a second and a half fall off over 70 laps is not much.
Close move there. Theodore announced he was going into the pits and pulled down in the pits, and Honeycutt almost got into his rear end on that corner. So even calling out the pit didn't really help Theodore there.
Yeah, Theodore comes down. Thomas Harmon is now down pit road. I can't imagine our leaders are going to stay out here much longer. Thomas Harmon with a blazing pit time in and out of his box in 13.38 seconds. Oh, and the 68 of Thomas Harmon hits the rear end of the 32 of Wade Hustad and puts him directly into the barrels there. Hustad's car is stuck in the barrels. That might just be the end of the 32's night, as he has to tow the car to get down onto pit road. So the 32 of Wade Hustad, was running in first or second all night, has his night completely ruined.
That's huge, and that's Hustad coming down. He was coming down pit road and slowing up. I think that's what his plan was, and I think that shows you they're not required to call out their pit stops, but sometimes it's a smart thing to do.
And we see Harmon. He had just come out of the pits, so he's running up behind the 32 of Hustad. Hustad just stomps on the brakes to pull down. That crunches the front end of Harmon's car. So not only did that ruin the 32's night, but Harmon's night seems to be over as well. I can't believe we did not get a caution flag for that, as Hustad was stuck in those barrels for a good 20 seconds to 30 seconds. So Hustad now down on pit road for over a minute. Haven't even begun those repairs, as they are towing his vehicle.
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously real life you would throw the caution because you have to tow the vehicle.
Right.
But I think if Harmon had gotten spun out and something had happened to Harmon, then you would have seen a yellow come out. And you see Hustad's already off pit road. So that's amazing that he doesn't have I would think he would have had 30 minutes of repairs to replace that engine.
Yeah, we see the whole front end of his car is missing, hood, bumper, everything, and the 32's back out there on the track. So maybe those barrels taking a brunt of the force there and not causing too much damage to his car.
I don't know. I've hit those barrels before. You would think that'd be the end of your race, especially if you're caught in those barrels like that. Yeah, whenever you see that, the guy's done.
Well, luckily for Wade, he did capture the win last week. All he has to do is show up next week at Charlotte, and he solidified himself in the next round of the playoffs. But he will want those points moving forward, because if he doesn't steal a win in the next set, he's going to need to be in those top 8 drivers going into the last 4 weeks here. So
I think for all the drivers in the playoffs right now, Wade Hustad and Anthony Burrows, those two guys are the guys that can afford something like this happening to them in a race. Because even if he finishes last here, he's still going to be ahead of Presnell.
Those early season bonus points for winning races definitely help things, help give you a little bit of a padding coming into the playoffs here. So, but Hustad's out there and he seems to be running okay lap times. So I don't know exactly visually if that was much different than what it looked like, but that seemed to have destroyed the front end of his car, and he's out there running just fine.
Yeah, you think he'd have engine damage or something, but it doesn't seem to be slowing him down a ton. I mean, he's not as fast as, he's not putting down a hot lap, but running 21.5s, 21.4s.
Well, we're not going to go up here. I'm looking at Mike Springer in the number 12 and the 22 of Dustin Musial. Neither one of these guys have even come down the pits yet. So Chad Presnell, who pit very early compared to some of the other guys, he currently runs in the 3rd spot there at the number 55. Seems in prime position to take this lead and possibly run away with it, but he does have Anthony Burrows to deal with, and Burrows is coming up on him pretty hot with about 11 lap pressure tires. Not sure what Springer and Musial are waiting for. 85 laps on their tires now. There's only about 66 laps remaining in this race, so definitely no reason to stay out there now, other than maybe hoping for an accident, as we see the 12 of Mike Springer pull down pit road. And Dustin Musial is going to get himself a lead lap, so maybe that was the strategy all along. Let me get out here and lead a lap. Get that extra bonus point. Use it moving forward in these playoffs. To the 58 there, Jonathan Schwartz easily to the inside of the 22. Oh, the 22 loses it, stays out on those tires for too long. That's going to send the 35 around. So Dustin Musial's little plan not working out as well as he had hoped.
Still no yellow.
Again, no caution flag. I mean, it's amazing he was able to keep that thing from absolutely T-boning a wall. So Dustin Musial, sad mistake there, stays out just a little bit too long in those tires and completely loses control of the vehicle.
Yeah, so now he has to come down. He's going to have to probably bang out a few bumps out of that car, replace those tires. He's still in good position as far as points, but that could have been disastrous for him.
Now the 55 of Chad Presnell there getting very close to the wall on that corner exit. He has a comfortable lead on the 37 of Caden Honeycutt at this point, but Honeycutt is on about 12 lap fresher tires than 55 of Presnell. Mike Springer squeezes by Caden. Springer, the very last car to come in and pit. Only 3 laps on his tires there in the 12. And, you know, that could have really helped him there. If Dustin Musial were to actually have caused the caution, Mike Springer would likely be your new leader. Maybe Jonathan Schwartz would have stayed out, but Springer would have had brand new tires and definitely wouldn't have come in under caution conditions to get tires. We're going to go down to the track here and listen to the sounds of iRacing, guys. I hope you enjoy this. As everybody saw there, Chad Presnall did catch a little bit of damage. As Caden Honeycutt's able to take that second spot away from him. But a big gap between Presnall and the 21 of Eric Johnson, who currently runs in fourth, so has some breathing room there. We'll see if he's able to make up some time under the next green flag pit stop. A little bit of bumping and banging going on around here this evening. Rare mistakes made by drivers we least expected, but Wade Hustad, after that damage from earlier, still running out there with no hood or no bumper on the front of his car. It does come around the 96 of David Wellborn. He runs in the 15th spot, 2 laps down. Joshua Wakefield in the 35. Just got tangled up a little while ago with the 22 of Dustin Musial. He runs in 14th. David Wright in the 13th spot, and Dustin Musial himself still runs in 12th after that that error, staying out there on those tires for just a little bit too long. So Jim Westerfield just came down a bit again. So he currently sits 5 laps down on the leaders right now, but he is on fresh tires. Matthew George, a non-playoff driver, currently runs in the 11th spot. Mike Springer in 10th. And the last car in the lead lap is the 98 here of Hunter Johnson. He runs in the 9th position. Back up, we see a big gaggle of cars here, almost going 4 wide there as the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz sneaks down there to the inside. On that lower line, seems very comfortable down there for him as he comes around the 89 of Theodore, the 21 of Eric Johnson, and trying to get up to the 82 of Chris James, who plows the outside wall, keeps the car up there. Nothing but bad news for Chris James here tonight. He sits 21 laps down, still makes contact with the wall. 27 laps on his tires currently. And back up to the front, Anthony Burrows still running away with this race with almost a 5-second gap over the 37 of Caden Honeycutt. Both of those guys pit at the same time.
Jonathan Schwartz got really loose right in front of Theodore and Helt.
And Schwartz did just make the pass on those two guys, so maybe a little overconfident in the car there, overdrove it just a hair. Let that rear end get out from underneath him.
Yeah, it looked like he was scrubbing those tires on the base lap, on a yellow flag lap.
So 160 in out of 200 here tonight. A few surprises along the way so far. But Caden Honeycutt, he was your pole sitter. He runs in the 2nd spot right now. And it doesn't look like anybody's got anything for the 62 of Anthony Burrows as things sit currently.
Yeah, big separation between the top 3. Joseph Helt goes the inside past Jonathan Schwartz.
Yeah, 58 took that spot away just a few laps ago, but the 02 is taking it back, and the 89 of John Theodore is going to follow.
Yeah, it's going to get a little congested up here with Sam Niederhelm.
Yeah, Niederhelm doing the right thing, though, staying up in that high line out of the way of some of these other drivers. Dustin Musial to the inside of him. And Dustin Musial in the 22 has some pretty fresh tires. We might see him making a move to make a few passes here very soon. Oh, is the 58 of Jonathan Schwartz almost back into the 02 of Helt as he comes up the track. Caden Honeycutt making his final pit stop for this evening. So our second place driver down pit road, leaving Anthony Burrows out there to run in first. I don't know, Martin, we saw it earlier. These cars can run on 80 lap tires. I wonder if Burrows is planning on staying out here.
Well, I'm wondering if Burrows is going to lap all these guys and then go in, because he's coming up fast on Johnson, Theodore, Schwartz, and Harmon. And then Presnell, Presnell's 11 seconds behind him. So he could easily lap a few of these guys and put them down before they even go in the pits for their last pit stop.
The question is, do they make a last pit stop, or do they try to stay out on the older tires? Because right now you got Joseph Helt, who runs in fourth. He's on 40 laps. Thomas Harmon's on 44 laps. Jonathan Schwartz in that 58 car, he's only 35 lap old tires right now. So technically he can run the rest of this race on the tires that he's got. That puts Anthony Burrows in a precarious position. And a caution could mess up all of your strategy at any time.
Yep. As Burrows goes on the inside of Aaron James, easily puts him another lap down. Has his eye on Eric Johnson now. How many laps does Burrows have on his tires?
43 as we run now. So I have a feeling he's just going to go the rest of the way. If he were to come down and take a pit and have any one of these other guys stay out, Presnell's 54 laps on the tires. I doubt Presnell stays out. He needs to come down and get tires, but Jonathan Schwartz could do it. Joseph Helt could do it. Thomas Harmon would be a stretch, but he could. Same with John Theodore. So all of the guys running behind Anthony Burrows, except for maybe Chad Presnell on the 55, could really stretch this thing to the end of the race if they wanted to. And now Caden Honeycutt put himself in a position where he's got to make up some laps. I mean, or, some time. He's one lap down. He runs in the 10th spot. He's got a lot of time to catch up on those leaders. And if they don't pit, I mean, you're only looking at about 2 seconds per lap at the most is what he's going to be gaining on these guys. Burrows currently only running about 1.5 seconds slower than his best lap here tonight. So I'd be surprised not to see him go the rest of the distance.
Yeah, Honeycutt just put down a 21.384. Burrows running at 22.2, so it's only 4 tenths of a second difference. That also was Honeycutt's first lap out. Now he's at 21.4.
So he's only getting about a second per lap, and
just squeezes through Presnell and Hustad.
That amount that he's gaining is going to dwindle as he starts to
put
more laps on his tires.
Hustad hot into the turn. Goes, just dirt tracks that one. Right in front of his teammate Chad Presnell. But they stay off each other.
David Wellborn now up to the 14th spot. He's gotten around Sam Niederhelm. So Niederhelm, Josh Wakefield, Chris James, Aaron James, all going to lose points to the 96.
We do have to remember, though, that these guys get bonus points for 0x. And right now, Chris James, well, no, Chris James has 2, so.
Does Wellborn have any incidents?
Yeah, Wellborn has 8. So I think all those guys have incidents now. Like, for a while, Chris James had no incidents, so even if he finished 5 positions behind David Wellborn or whatever it is, he would have made those points up right away with 0x, but no luck for him.
A single car out here tonight with no damage to it.
Jim Westerfield has kept his clean. Springer, Johnson, Eric Johnson, Matthew George, Caden Honeycutt, Jonathan Schwartz amazingly doesn't have any incident points despite spinning out. Anthony Burrows, actually quite a few guys.
Yeah, Schwartz was able to straighten the car out,
yep.
So didn't get those loss of control incidents.
John Theodore still clean, Hunter Johnson, Joseph Helt, so quite a few of those lead cars. And some of the lap cars even, 0 incidents, which is very surprising for Richmond.
And the car I'm going to be watching here is the 55 of Chad Presnall. At this point, I'm almost positive that the 62 will stay out, but Presnall, 63 laps on his tires right now. He's got about 23 laps to go before the end of this race. He's going to be pushing it as Dustin Musial gets loose again. And the 22 up into the wall. Not too much damage, and it looks like we're going to stay under green here.
Well, Presnall's falling back fast, too, as Jonathan Schwartz. That gap between him and Schwartz and Helt is closing. He's now 17 seconds back, while those guys still stay about 20. So the gap is closing as Presnall's slowing down. Schwartz and Helt still on the lead lap, but they're going to be lapped pretty soon.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anthony Burrows has lapped almost every single car on the track. There was only 3 that remain out here on the lead lap tonight. So absolutely driving the wheels off the car right now. Similar pit strategies to all these guys as well. So Joseph Helt, 54 laps on his tires, and Jonathan Schwartz with 49 sit right there, pretty even with Burrows, 55 lap old tires. So Burrows just the class of the field this evening at Richmond. The one guy we thought had a chance, Wade Hustad, is back up to 13th now in the 32. Still 2 laps down.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, that's going to evaporate that lead that point gap he built up with all those regular season wins, and so now he's just going to be basically on an even playing field with everyone else up in that top 4.
Yeah, and then you'll have Burrows kind of in a league of his own at this point after tonight's race.
Yep. But as we said, those top 4 guys, the points reset. It's just a shootout at Homestead, so that gap that Burrows and Hustad currently have, and Hustad's now not going to have after this race, won't really matter at Homestead, but it does allow them, and it will allow Burrows in a future race here to have a crappy race as Hustad's having here. And Hustad, I mean, even now he could still finish top 10 the way he's driving that car. He still has speed that, despite losing the front hood, doesn't seem to have done much engine damage. I thought for sure he was done and he was just going to be out of the race, but
you talk about having the opportunity to have a bad race. Anthony Burrows has finished top 5 in every single one of his races so far this season. With
yeah,
the
he hasn't even needed that yet.
So, you know, somebody's bound to have a bad race at some point. I don't know if he can go flawless throughout the entire season. So definitely going to help him out later in these playoffs. And, you know, the thing about Hustad getting in the accident that he did is, like you said, it kind of evaporates that distance that he put over Presnall and the other guys down there. So now Hustad's going to have to make sure he doesn't have another bad race moving forward.
Yeah, he can't afford another one now. But as you said, I mean, any of those other guys easily, I mean, Presnall could easily have a bad race, and he doesn't have that luxury. Whereas Hustad had the luxury of taking this and having this be a bad, you know, quote-unquote bad race, because, again, he still is going to finish okay. He's only going to, I mean,
considering the circumstances.
I think he could finish. Yeah, I think he could finish. I still think he could finish 10th. I mean, he could still get past David Wright and Dustin Musial.
We'll see what happens as these final laps dwindle down. We're looking David Wright. He's definitely going to get passed by Wade Hustad. David Wright is on 81 lap old tires at this point. So
David Wellborn into the grass. As I was going through, I saw him slide out of the turn 2 down into the grass. He's back on the track going. It doesn't look like he hit the wall or anything either. He just got down on the grass. Might have tapped that inside wall, but not a lot of damage on the right side. A little bit of damage, or not a lot of damage on the left side. A little bit of damage on the right side. But I think he already had that.
So that gap that Presnall had on Jonathan Schwartz almost completely gone at this point. It's just David Wellborn Jr. standing between Schwartz and the 55 of Presnall. And he's about 16 laps better tires than Presnall has right now, too. So Presnall definitely going to feel some pressure here from the 58 at any point. Joseph Helt as well. You see him lurking back there. He's not too far behind. He's only had 9 to go. I don't know if he'll be able to close that up on Presnall, but if 55 is going to have his hand full here in just a second.
I was going to say Helt's a lap down, but he's on the same lap as those guys as Burrows is creeping up on Presnell now. And I can see Schwartz wiggling there. Presnell wiggled a little bit.
And I'd say at this point, I mean, Anthony Burrows, maybe, you know, you might want to do that. It might feel like an accomplishment, right, to try to get around these guys and put everybody but yourself on, you know, put yourself on your own lap. But I think it'd be wise of Burrows just to run behind the 55 at Presnell and finish this race up in the first spot and not make anything crazy happen here.
Yeah, he doesn't need to push it. I think if he can get around him, you know, in the course of driving, it takes him around Presnell. But I don't think he needs to battle hard trying to do it.
That's how mistakes will happen. You catch yourself a little too close to the car in front of you and then maybe hit the brake a little too hard that you weren't expecting. But 62 there of Anthony Burrows is going to try to get around the 55, and it looks like he'll take the position easily. So,
well, these cars are loose at Richmond to begin with on fresh tires, and then you're on, you know, these really old tires that they got out there now, and you're trying to run that inside line and trying to stay down as you're coming out of a corner with that outside guy. That could lead to you going right into that inside wall and the race being over in a flash. So just take his time. If he's, you know, if he feels like he's got it, he can make the pass really easily. Just go and take it. And the only guy left on the lead lap with Burrows on the tail end of it is Jonathan Schwartz, 21.5 seconds down. That's quite the accomplishment by Anthony Burrows. Caden Honeycutt's the only other guy who went in for tires, and he's worked his way back to 5th now. So him taking tires is paying off.
yeah, he was able to fight his way back up into that top 5. He does still sit a lap down, but I don't know if he's going to have enough time to get up to Joseph Helt and Chad Presnell here. He was the only car, I think, to come back down and take another pit stop, as everyone else is running out there on very old tires. Jim Westerfield also took a pit stop about 45 laps ago, but he runs back in 18th, 5 laps down. Not really in contention
this race goes
here.
fast. This race goes fast. We were talking about, you know, Burrows passing Schwartz and everything, and I was like, oh yeah, he's got time to do it, and we're going to take the white flag now.
Well, these guys coming around to collect the one to go. I don't know if Burrows is going to be able to get up there to him, but again, at this point, he doesn't need to. He does have first place locked up, so.
Just go. I mean, at this point, he can just kind of turn the engine off and woo, and gets a little wiggle there.
I see probably the car almost wanted to come out. Again, it might have been something. He might have been trying to push it and see if he could put everybody a lap down. Heck of a race here from the 62 tonight.
I'll tell you,
he's going to be your winner at Richmond.
If I'm in Burrows' position there and I wiggle there, my heart's going through, coming out of my throat. It's like, oh no, don't ruin it right here. And Burrows easily wins this race. 22 seconds over Jonathan Schwartz. Everyone else at least a lap down. What a performance.
The 62 here of Anthony Burrows. Pulls up there to sit on the Richmond Raceway sign. Awesome, awesome finish tonight from the 62. Gives us a nice little donut. And he is your winner in the second race here in the Molnar Automotive Cup Series playoffs. So we see the point standings. Anthony Burrows confirms that he is the leader of this series as we sit. Wade Hustad, after a couple unfortunate, or an unfortunate incident earlier in the race, he's going to lose some of the point gap that he had over Chad Presnell and Jonathan Schwartz.
Yeah, he'll still be second, but yeah, it'll be closer.
Chad Presnell and Schwartz both. I mean, right there. They're sitting, third and
Mhm.
fourth in the points as we speak, and both of them coming away with the second and third tonight. So we're gonna go
I'm trying to
down.
think where the gap here. Let's see. David Wellborn finished. 15th. Yeah. Wellborn finished 15th. Chris James finished 19th. So Wellborn is gonna be close. I think Chris James will still hang out in that 12th spot by maybe a point.
So we'll go through the unofficial results here real quick. Anthony Burrows comes away with the win with 113 laps led. Jonathan Schwartz in second with 4 laps led. Chad Presnall in the 55 finishes third. Joseph Helt fourth. Fifth place goes to Caden Honeycutt, our early leader of this race and our pole sitter tonight with 60 laps led. Thomas Harmon in the 68 comes in sixth. Seventh position goes to John Theodore. Eighth, Mike Springer. Ninth goes to Hunter Johnson. Eric Johnson in 10th. Dustin Musel in the 22 finishes 11th. The 12th spot goes to David Wright. 13th to Wade Hustad. 14th, Matthew George. 15th, David Wellborn. 16th, Joshua Wakefield. The 17th spot goes to Sam Niederhelm, Jim Westerfield in 18th. 19th is Chris James. And 20th, Aaron James. Finally, we have Josh Mayu there. Finishes in the 21st position. And a big shout out to Tater Bowman, our race control for this evening. Now we're going to go down to the track and get an interview with our winner here. Anthony Burrows making it look easy, Martin.
Yeah.
Anthony Burrows, you got a copy, sir?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, they're towards the end of the race. Well, let me start by saying congratulations on the win there, man. Solidify yourself into the next round of these playoffs. But towards the end of the race, how bad did you want to catch the 58 and get around him and put everybody in this race a lap down, or were you just cruising?
I was pushing pretty hard. I thought that'd be pretty cool to lap the field tonight. But, yeah, still pretty cool to win the race nonetheless, get number 10 on the season. Definitely a little sore after that and how long that green flag run was. But, yeah, definitely had a lot of fun out there tonight.
Yeah, I don't know where we're going to fit that 10th sticker.
I don't know.
It's got to go somewhere on the car, right? Hopefully you can add a championship sticker to it this year.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's the goal.
Well,
Yep.
Congratulations again on the first place, man. Like I said, you did solidify yourself so long as you show up to Charlotte. Any scheduling conflicts or anything you foresee in the future, or are you going to be here?
I plan to be here every race. If anything comes up, I'll let you guys know. But as of now, it looks like I'll be making every race.
Perfect, man. Well, congrats again. You're out there in front easily. Everything does reset at Homestead, so I can't, at this point, I think we'd have to have something pretty crazy happen to you in order for you not to make it into that final race. But you got a shout out you want to give to anybody tonight?
Yeah, definitely shout out to Wade and Caden for the good racing at the beginning. I'm not really sure what happened to Wade. I think he got into it with a lap car or something. And
Yeah.
I think he pitted a second time for some reason. But yeah, that would have been a lot of fun to race with them there at the end. But yeah, shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast too, and James and everyone as always for putting on this league.
Well, thanks again, sir. You have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you back again next week.
Thanks, you too.
That was Anthony Burrows, winner of tonight's Richmond 200. Now we'll get a quick interview with Jonathan Schwartz, our second place finisher tonight. Where's Jonathan Schwartz at, Martin? Oh, there he is. Jonathan Schwartz, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Hey, second place finish tonight, man. You came into the practice session a little bit late, and the car got loose on you on the very first lap. You come all the way back to finish second place. Did you just not get much practice here tonight, or track a little different than you thought?
No, I just hadn't had any practice all week, so just kind of hopped in the session and ran a few laps during practice. Wasn't really feeling the car tonight, and happy second place worked out for me.
Yeah, definitely helps you out in those point standings moving forward. That gap that Hustad had on you and Presnall kind of disintegrated after this evening. So keep going out there and racing tough, man. Homestead's still a long ways away, but you're in a position to get there right now.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully I can grab a few wins against these guys. It's tough competition between Anthony and Wade and Chad out here. So congrats on the win, Anthony, and see you next week.
All right, buddy. Anyone else you want to say thanks to before I let you go?
I thank Cortland, the company I work for. They do a great job at helping me do what I do. And thanks James for putting on a great race every week for us. And thank you guys for broadcasting once again.
Awesome, man. Well, have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next week.
All right, you too.
That was Jonathan Schwartz, our second place finisher for tonight. Now we'll go grab third place. Chad Presnall, Wade Hustad's teammate. Hustad found himself in a little trouble tonight, but Presnall comes away with the third place finish. Chad Presnall, are you there, sir?
Yeah, I got you.
Hey, man, third place. Not too bad of a showing. What are you doing letting Burrows get a lap around you?
I was just out there managing the car all night. I mean, I figured he made it all the way around the track to get back to my tail. Might as well let him have it. I mean, it's just trying to finish the race.
Yes, sir. It didn't look easy out there. You finished the race 84 laps on your tires. Did you plan, how did that develop? Did you plan on pitting another time before the end of that race, or did you think you were going to have to run it to the end?
To be honest with you, I was hoping for a late race caution and be able to maybe get away with a bumper run. But that didn't happen, so I just stayed out. Seemed like the right thing to do, but I waited a little bit too late. So, but yeah, Anthony, he was just leaps and bounds better than everybody tonight. I'll say that Wade was keeping up with him. It was unfortunate to see what happened to him there, but Anthony certainly deserved that win. Boy, drove his tail off.
Yeah, the gap between you and Wade, I know your teammates, that's closed after this evening. So, or at least to some extent, now you actually get up there and get to compete with them points-wise every week, too.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a good thing. Like I said, tonight, I was just managing the car, trying to finish the race. I never could get that drive off or find any real speed to get the thing working for me. So tonight was certainly just making laps, more or less, and trying to finish the race and move on to the next week. So it'll be cool going forward.
Yes, sir. You got a shout-out you want to give to anybody tonight?
Yeah, the whole DRL crew, all the drivers in here that make it a great league that it is. And shout out to Anthony for whooping everybody's tail off tonight. That's kind of embarrassing there. But
it was impressive, that's for sure.
Shout out to Wade too, and we've been digging all season, and it's starting to come down to the wire, and we certainly amped our game up. So we'll be looking forward to going into next week.
Yes, sir. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir. You have a good evening.
You too. Well, guys, now I want to go grab Mr. Wade Hustad and find out exactly what happened to him and why he wasn't off the track longer than he was. We expected him to be out for quite some time. Wade Hustad, are you around?
Hey, man, I got a copy.
Hey, it's Ryan up in the booth. Me and Martin are just watching what had happened to you there. 68 of Harmon got into you a little bit. Maybe you hit the brakes or didn't announce your pit or what have you. It looked like you took a pretty rough hit. Did you get all the damage repaired down there? I mean, to be missing your hood, we were amazed when you came out of the pits in about a minute.
Yeah, I was stuck there. I tried everything getting out, and I don't know if my back of the car was hanging out on the track, but I just towed it to try to get back as quick as possible. And since it stayed green, I mean, I know I had to get those fresh tires as soon as I got back on the track and just went. So I didn't fix any of that damage, and I didn't have any engine damage, but it had overheating issues. So for that first half of the run, I was pushing the clutch into turn 1 to prevent it from getting any hotter than 285. So I wanted to make the end of the race and at least get, I think there's some bonus points for that, but I was just hanging in there, and I almost disconnected, but I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go out there and drive mad and see what can happen.
Well, it worked, man. You come away with 13th after a mishap like that is not too bad of a night. So we just talked to Presnall and to Schwartz. The gap you had on those guys is closed a little bit. Now you get to go out there and race your buddy Presnall for real points every week.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I think as far as the situation for tonight, I just want to probably take the blame for that. I didn't call out my pit stall, and Harmon was coming with fresh tires. I was on old tires. There's just no room for air there. But really what it's going to boil down to is not having situations like that for the end of this round, but into the next round too. But I am just a little bummed. I'd love to race it out with Anthony. That guy is so versatile on the track. I mean, I can see it racing behind him, I got preferred line. I wanted to save my tires, but he was trying everything to get around Caden, and he really owned the track tonight, and hats off to him. Congrats on the victory, and everyone else that finished on the lead lap. So that'd be only one other Jonathan Schwartz, but good job to my teammate Chad as well.
Well, you have a wonderful evening tonight, man, and we'll see you back next week for Charlotte.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. Well, now, if I can, I'm going to pull up these. I don't know if he's still around. We did have a pre-race interview with David Wellborn Jr. Said he was just going to get out there and run around. I was hoping to get a quick chat with him. Looks like he is gone already tonight, but I just wanted to see how he felt. I think he's going to gain some points here in these point standings moving forward. Did perform a little bit better than the guys below him and better than a couple guys above him. So point standings looking a little better, and we'll see those when we come back next week, exactly where everyone stands on that last race in this segment at Charlotte. That is the Charlotte 250 next Tuesday night. That'll be me and Martin right back here with you, 9:25 p.m. Eastern. Next race on Dynasty Racing League TV is the Charlotte 187. That is the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters next Monday night, also at Charlotte Motor Speedway. 125 laps around that 1.5 mile track. That's going to be, is that their second race of the playoffs in the Northeast Ohio Ghostbusters series, right, Martin?
Yeah,
so
second race.
They'll also be on race number 2 like we were here tonight. So them getting closer and closer to a cut in their own race. And I just want to roll through these credits. Thank you to everyone in the league, everybody involved with the Dynasty Racing League, everyone who comes out here and competes every week. We saw 6 or 7 guys who aren't even in the points runnings anymore coming out to this playoff race tonight, so big shout out to them. Thanks to James Pandoff and Tater Bowman, the owners of the league. Martin Wenzel, Jordan Gonzalez. Thank you, Martin, for all your works on the graphics every week. You're never late. They're always there. One of the most reliable guys we have in the league for sure. David Wellborn Jr., Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Getty Buckner. I think we got another name to add on there on Monday night.
Jason Taylor. I need to add him. Jason Taylor.
Yeah, Jason Taylor
about him on the broadcast.
Yeah,
people have been saying great addition.
Definitely heard his broadcasts have been very well. So shout out to all those guys that do the broadcasting every single week and make sure that the viewers can see this and these guys can go back and watch, a video history of what they do out here on the track. And Eric Weatherholtz, shout out to him. I think that Indy series might be changing. We have some, different stuff going on at Dynasty Racing League. The Indy series didn't perform as well as it was expected to this year.
Yeah, it sounds like he wants to. Yeah, it sounds like he wants to go to some of the, like those Mazdas, some cars that can take a little bit more damage so that people can race a little bit longer, a little bit less power.
Yeah, kind of give guys.
None of those road courses are hard in Indy.
Yeah, give the guys a road courses to run. Give us a different type of racing here in the DRL, and not make one tiny little error. I mean, those Indy cars, the even more so than these Cup cars, the smallest mistake is the end of your night. So that's looking more and more like it'll be a road-only series into next year. There will be no ovals in that one, as we already have 3 nights of oval racing on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here in DRL, and we do have a couple winter series coming up. So everyone, stay tuned for that. Anybody interested in joining Dynasty Racing League, go to www.dynastyracingleague.com. And thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. We will see you back again next week. Martin, you got anything else for these fans before we let them go?
No, just we are off tomorrow and then coming back on Monday for the Grand National Series playoffs. So see you then.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Have a wonderful night, everyone.